Stop being managed by a system that profits from keeping you addicted, in debt, and distracted. Today we apply the tactical tools of modern Stoicism to turn your scars into a map so you can finally become uncaptured from your past sorrows, regrets, and the traps that are all around us. We're talking about adaptive resilience, the art of being the only thing in the room that does not break when the storm hits. Look, the cage is open, but most of us are too weighed down by the past to walk through it. We treat our history like a prison sentence instead of a training manual. But before you can lead your pack, your family, you have to stop the internal bleeding. So how do you turn a literal cage into a classroom? Let's look at a man who started in actual chains. You see, regret is a luxury of the domesticated. In Feralism, we don't look at the past to mourn it. We look at it for the data. Take Epictetus. He was not just a philosopher in a robe. He was born into the ultimate cage of Roman slavery. He realized early on that while his master could break his leg, which he did, his master could never break his will unless Epictetus handed it over willingly. Epictetus moved from being a victim to a master of his own mind. He taught that resilience is taking the hits, the things that happen to you in life, and extracting the data without the bitterness. Your past does not have to be a prison sentence. It can be your training ground if you allow yourself to perceive it as such. So if you're still angry about a trap you stepped in 5 years ago, you're still in that trap. But what happens when the hit is not a physical chain, but a lifetime of crushing failure? How do you keep moving when the world keeps saying no? Let's look at Abraham Lincoln. Of course, he is remembered for the top hat and the Gettysburg Address, but he had tremendous resolve. His life was a literal map of scars. He lost his mother at age 9. He failed in business. He lost the woman he loved. He lost 8 separate elections. In the domesticated world, we call that failure or loser. But in the feral world, we call that a map of scars and lessons, but a map nonetheless. Those failures guided him, taught him, and calloused him to handle the storm that was coming. Lincoln did not dwell on the time he lost. He used those scars as a map to navigate the destruction of a civil war. He used every political defeat, every personal tragedy, as data, as a lesson, and then he recalibrated his resolve. He understood that a man who has lost everything has nothing left to fear and is, in a sense, free. He was being forged for a mission he couldn't even see yet, holding a dying nation together. But what if the weakness isn't in your circumstances, but instead in your own body? How do you lead when your body is failing the mission? If your body is betraying you, take a lesson from Theodore Roosevelt. He was not born a lion. He was a sickly, asthmatic boy who was frequently captured by his own lungs. He spent his nights propped up in bed, gasping for air. He could have lived a safe, managed life in a library, but instead he chose the strenuous life. He looked at his weak frame and decided to rebuild the machine. He proved that resilience is a muscle. If you don't tear it, it won't grow. He boxed, he rucked, and he hunted until he calloused his mind so deeply that when he was shot in the chest during a speech later in life, he finished the speech before going to the hospital. He didn't avoid the friction. He leaned into it until the world could not keep up with him. Roosevelt proved that you can build yourself into a weapon. But once you forge that blade, what do you do when the entire world you built is crushed in an instant? How do you pivot when there's no plan B? To find that answer, you have to look at what remains of the most infamous mission recalibration in history. You see, when Ernest Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, was crushed by Antarctic ice, his original mission died instantly. He had set out on the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition, a quest for the honor of being the first to cross the continent on foot. But the ice didn't care about his dreams, titles, and ambitions. The moment the hull of the Endurance snapped, Shackleton didn't waste a single breath mourning the lost record. He performed a brutal recalibration. He looked at his men and famously said, "The ship and the stores are gone. Now we will go home." He stopped being an explorer chasing glory and fame and became a protector. focused on the survival of his pack. For the next 700 days, he adapted and updated the map based on the ice in front of him, not on the map he wished he had. But what if the pressure isn't external ice? What if the pressure is the weight of an entire empire? How do you stay feral when you are at the very top? To survive the crushing weight of power, you have to control the conflict inside your own mind. Marcus Aurelius was one of the most powerful men on earth, yet his life was a relentless storm of plague, betrayal, and war. He was captured by the highest responsibilities imaginable. While everyone else was panicking, he was writing in his journal, reminding himself that the obstacle isn't in the way, the obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius treated every disaster as a training manual for virtue. He didn't cry about the weight of the crown. He memorized the scent of the struggle so he could lead his people. He remained uncaptured by his own ego, even when the world was bowing to him. He knew that the only thing that you truly own is your response to the chaos. These aren't just stories. They are blueprints, maps. If you want to build your adaptive resilience, here are the 5 lessons from the men who survived their own fires. Stop being a student of these giants of history and apply their lessons to your own life today. From Epictetus, we learn to draw a line in the dirt between what you control and what you don't. Your body, your property, and your attention can be captured by the world at any time. However, your opinion, your mind, and your will are the only things that are natively feral and yours alone. Stop bleeding out over things on the other side of that line. From Abraham Lincoln, we learn to map the failures. Stop calling them setbacks. Call them navigational data. Every no you receive, every door that slams in your face is just a map telling you where the gate is or isn't. If you aren't collecting scars, then you aren't exploring the terrain. Use the data to calibrate your next move. From Theodore Roosevelt, we learn about intentional friction. You see, the domesticated mind craves comfort, but the feral mind craves calluses. Manage hardships into your life daily, whether it's a heavy ruck, a cold shower, or the difficult conversation that you've been ducking. Do the thing that makes you uncomfortable to remind the world that you cannot be tamed or captured with ease. From Ernest Shackleton, we learn how to radically pivot. The moment the mission fails, kill the old map. Don't waste a second mourning the ship that sank, or the promotion you didn't get, or the relationship that failed. Perform an immediate survival audit and identify the new objective. Loyalty to a dead plan is just another way to stay captured. Marcus Aurelius, we learn about the inner citadel. You see, the world is chaotic, but your own mind must be a fortress. When the pressure peaks, look inward. Use your journal, your own internal dialogue. Remind yourself that the obstacle is not a wall. It is the very path you were meant to walk. Own your response, and you own the world. Adaptive resilience is the quiet confidence that you can handle the terrain because you've already studied the map of your own scars. You are no longer a prisoner of what happened. You are now a student of it. If you're ready to stop being managed and start being uncaptured, join the lineage. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss next week's deep dive into the feral legacy, where we will learn how to pass this fire to the next generation so they never have to live in a cage. Subscribe and don't let the algorithm decide your future. Let's build something here that the algorithm cannot control and that the world cannot cage. I'm Mark, this is Feralism, and until next time, stay uncaptured.
Feralism, the art of becoming uncaptured. Breathe in the wild, find your true path, let go,